Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generation discussion on the latest events from Boruto's manga. And today I wanted to build on the Himawari video we did a few days ago by visiting a topic that one of the people on the Naruto Explain team who helps me out on the channel suggested for this topic. My buddy Arrow said a while back that Damon's interest in Himawari is going to grow as we head into Boruto's time skip, and at the time I thought, well, that sounds cool in theory, but I don't know how Damon and Himawari are going to interact in the way being suggested, because Boruto's super protective of his younger sister. But after this last chapter, I think Arrows is very close to being on the money with this one, if not all the way on the money in general, for a few reasons. So Arrows said that when Boruto's manga showed Damon taking special interest in Himawari because he sensed an enormous power inside of her that he deemed to be large enough, he fully expected her to dodge the blow he was about to dish out, and even went as far as to grab her by the shoulders and start screaming, "Who are you?" when he first saw Himawari. That this was going to be setting the stage for Damon to take special interest in Himawari's development as a fighter, similar to how Hisoka took great interest in Gon once he realized the depths of Gon's enormous fighting potential and wanted him to grow as strong as possible so he could fight Gon when Gon was at his peak, which led to that infamous scene that people used to accuse Hisoka being someone who takes a very naughty interest in children, and has led them being misunderstood as a character. But for Damon to take this approach, it makes quite a bit of sense right now. Boruto was the only one who stopped Damon from pushing Himawari any further when they first encountered each other. If it were left up to Damon, Himawari might have caught a few left hooks to the face and a Roman Reigns Superman punch for good measure if it weren't for Boruto. However, with Ada's Shinjutsu now reversing everyone's memories of Boruto and Kawaki, with Kawaki now Himawari's brother and Boruto being the boy who everyone believes killed Naruto, it's time for us to look at why this impacts Damon and Himawari's relationship. With Boruto now gone, Kawaki isn't going to be the one who steps in to stop Himawari and Damon from interacting. He isn't anywhere near as protective of Himawari as Boruto is. Given Kawaki's upbringing, he's more likely to look at Damon wanting to spar with Himawari and just greenlight it, because as far as he's concerned, that's the way it should be. It was normal for him. He was a child being forced to train with Jigen of all people, and when he wasn't being slapped around by Jigen and Jigen's long black rod slapping him across the face, he was being choked out by Code, who was choking him out on a daily basis until he reached the point of nearly passing out. And when that wasn't happening, he was sparring with members of Kara Inners like Boro and Delta, and when he got out of line, Delta, being the sadist that she was willing to punish Kawaki in a bunch of brutal ways that the Delta simps probably wish was her. This is a deadly combination in my opinion for a few reasons, including the fact that it gives Kishimoto the chance to pay homage to two mangaka who have influenced his writing. The first reason this is a deadly combination is that Himawari now has an extremely strong motivator to become a ninja. Just based off of her academy tryout, she was way further ahead than her classmates in physical skill, and in the academy arc she showed that she was skilled enough with her Byakugan to pressure and hold the upper hand against a grown adult Genin who was strong enough to have a change in chakra nature, which is a big deal considering Naruto's manga pointed out that change in chakra nature requires years of change in chakra nature training drills, and is expected from people who are at the rank of Chunin to possess on upwards and not Genin. Ninja like Sasuke, Gaara, and Tamari, they are exceptions to the rule. They're not the standard. Well, looking at that, and the fact that she was leaning towards it because she wanted to help Boruto in the future, losing her parents is going to light that fire underneath her, and Damon is right there to start taking advantage of and start stoking those fires. If Arrows is right that Damon's interest in Himawari is similar to Hisoka, you have room for Himawari to level up in a big way if Damon starts combat training with her in the form of sparring. Obviously, Damon has to hold back to a degree, otherwise he just punches Himawari's head off. But if he's right that Himawari has a special power inside her waiting to be unlocked, he's enough of a psycho to draw it out now that she's likely going to be driven to get justice for the death of her parents. As a reminder, Damon's reflection ability isn't a problem here unless Damon places his palms on Himawari or on someone else in the area. At that point, any attacks that she has any thought of using will be reflected back onto her. Himawari's own grandfather and Hanabi, both in the anime and in the Parent and Child A novel respectively, they each took great interest in Himawari, seeing something inside of her that Himawari's own household family didn't. This sweet young girl has a dog inside of her that is going to come out at some point, with Hiashi flat out telling Naruto that the moment Himawari shows signs consciously of using the Byakugan, he's to have her brought immediately to the Hyuga compound. And Hanabi bringing up the training of Himawari and Boruto to Hinata, with Hanabi saying that Hinata won't be able to draw out their full power because as a mother she holds back during their training. Now we add Damon to that list of people who sees Himawari and knows that Himawari is the one who has a ton of untapped raw potential that's waiting to be molded into being the ultimate fighter. This brings us to the next point. It gives Kishimoto as a writer the chance to pay homage to a couple of mangaka he's been influenced by and taken some aspects of those series and paid homage to them. We talked in the past about the Toriyama influence due to Himawari reeking of a potential son Gohan. It makes sense for a former enemy to play a role in her training, with Damon being Piccolo to Himawari's Gohan. Two characters who started out as enemies with a ruthless streak, and as the series went on, we saw that there were layers added to their character. Piccolo started out wanting revenge for his father's death and nearly killed Goku, and did kill Goku finally in chapter 205 of Dragon Ball, only to turn around and train his son with a no-holds-barred mentality, and ended up softening as a character the longer he was around Gohan's innocence. We started out Boruto with Damon being introduced as an enemy who was stronger than Jigen, who was working with Code, and as he's been in Konoha, we've seen that cocky attitude of his still be there, but we've also seen that he too is softened just a little bit from the way he was playing those video games with Boruto to even resisting a punch in Himawari's face. Whereas a year ago in the manga, Damon wouldn't have hesitated to turn Himawari into Ned Stark. On the other hand, we have Kishimoto's influence from Togashi, something that is obvious when you look at the way that the Chunin exam had multiple homages to the Hunter exams in Hunter x Hunter, with Kabuto basically being Tonpa from Hunter x Hunter. Kurapika's past was hinted at in that arc, just as we got more of Sasuke's past hinted at in the Chunin exams, Kurapika and Sasuke having that personal mission to avenge their clans, and even their eyes both having that scarlet color. We can make a whole top 15 video on the number of times Naruto's manga has paid homage to all of Togashi's works, not just Hunter x Hunter, and we might do that now that Boruto's anime is on hiatus and I got more time to work on Sundays to get audio over to editors. But I say that to say this: Himawari being gone and Damon being Hisoka doesn't feel that crazy when you think about it. I'm not going as far as to say I'm gonna put my hat and hang it on this, but I don't think this idea that my buddy Eros gave me is crazy either. Hisoka was both a motivational factor for Gon at one point, but also in that gray area of not being an enemy or an ally. He helped Gon out in the past, but they weren't buddy-buddy. It was for his own self-serving interest to see Gon reach his potential. We could see another loose homage to those two relationships with Damon and Himawari, and it wouldn't feel forced when you really think about it. If we come out of Boruto's time skip learning that on top of being a ninja and trained by whatever sensei that Himawari had, Himawari also sparred with and trained with someone like Damon, that's the easiest path for her to level up in a very believable way, because she's literally training with the strongest character in the series currently. Again, it's like how Piccolo went from being strong enough to stalemate second form Frieza and avoid being killed by third form Frieza, and in 3 years of training with Goku, who wasn't holding back in that training, he ended up being strong enough, you'd say he wasn't too much further behind the 3 Super Saiyans in that Cyborg saga of Dragon Ball, even before he briefly surpassed them before the Cell games. I think this is a low risk, high reward scenario for Himawari's character. The more I think about it, the more major benefits I really see out of Himawari spending time with Damon. I don't think you have Damon state that he sensed a huge power inside of Himawari and then you never do anything with it, especially with Boruto out the picture right now. You don't introduce something like that and not cash it in. So again, I've moved off my stance on this. I really think that my buddy Arrows might be onto something. I'm just not 100% sure I'm ready to say, hey, I'm gonna make this a Naruto Explained theory, but if this happens, I'm not gonna be shocked. But I'm curious to know how you guys feel about this. Are you okay with Daemon and Himawari training? While you think that over, click here to watch my Black Clover chapter 356 review, which should be on the screen right now.